Hello, Bucknutters. Welcome into the Morning Five on April 21st, 2014. I am Dave Biddle. Former Ohio State quarterback Terrelle Pryor will be released by the Oakland Raiders today if the team cannot trade him, per a report from Fox Sports. Pryor was a third-round pick by the Raiders in the 2011 supplemental draft. He started 9 games for the Raiders in 2013 and finished the season with 1,798 passing yards and 576 rushing yards. But he had a completion percentage of just 57.4 and threw just 7 touchdown passes to go with 11 interceptions. Pryor also had 2 rushing touchdowns, including a 93-yarder that holds the record for longest touchdown run by a quarterback in NFL history. TP will always have that going for him. Now it will be interesting to see where he ends up. The Raiders have Matt Schaub as their starter and prefer former Penn State quarterback Matt McGloin as the backup over Pryor. Including his recruitment, Pryor was one of the most high-profile athletes to come through Ohio State recently. He led the Buckeyes to victories in the Rose Bowl as a sophomore and Sugar Bowl as a junior. The latter game was, of course, wiped from the record books as part of the Tatgate fallout, and Pryor ended up turning pro before his senior season. We'll see if Pryor can catch on as a backup quarterback somewhere else in the NFL, but he might need to eventually pull a Troy Smith and take his talents to Canada.
O-H-I-O.
All right, moving on to recruiting. Let's check in with the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kurelic, to find out the latest on the Buckeyes.
This past weekend was another visit weekend for the Ohio State coaching staff, and a number of outstanding prospects were on campus. But I think the most significant visitor and the most significant event was Chris Clark making his long-awaited visit to Ohio State. And what Chris Clark told me after the visit, the outstanding tight end from Connecticut, who is the Buckeyes' #1 tight end target, told me after making his visit to Ohio State with his father that he now will likely, at least as things are at this point, decide between Ohio State and Michigan. And this is significant in that many felt that his decision would come down to perhaps Ohio State or Notre Dame. And also significant is that Clark says that he may not go ahead and visit Auburn this summer as he thought he was going to do. So all this certainly is very interesting in that Michigan really hadn't been thought to be a huge challenger for Clark's services, and certainly the Buckeyes have been considered a big contender to land Clark all along. I think this is all good news for Ohio State. Of course, they would have loved to have gotten a commitment, but I didn't really think that was going to happen. But I do, again, think this is all good news, and that Ohio State has been one school that has been at or near the top of Clark's list from the very beginning. And if, in fact, his decision does come down to Ohio State or Michigan, I tend to like the Buckeyes' chances in the end. Clark, though, says that he will not make a final decision until his mom visits both schools, Ohio State and Michigan. He says that is an absolute must, and that will likely happen sometime in June, and then he would make a decision. And, by the way, in my What I Am Hearing, I have an item on Chris Clark and his visit to Ohio State this past weekend, as well as a number of other items, of course, in What I Am Hearing that you'll want to check out today on Bucknuts.com.
Great stuff, Bill. Thank you. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with Chris Clark. But I agree, you have to like the Buckeyes' chances if it comes down to Urban Meyer versus Brady Hoke.
Michigan stinks!
And just a reminder, if you want to read Bill's What I Am Hearing feature that he mentioned, you need to be a subscriber. If you're not a Bucknut subscriber, try our 30-day free trial. You get an entire month to make sure Bucknuts is bringing the goods. Make sure you take advantage of this outstanding deal.
Oh,
no! Unfortunately, the Buckeyes received bad news on the recruiting front over the weekend when 4-star safety Ben Edwards flipped his verbal commitment to Auburn. Edwards committed to the Buckeyes in February, but he made the change to the Tigers on Saturday. The 6-foot, 196-pound Edwards is ranked as the number 18 safety in the country in the 2015 class, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite. He's also ranked as the number 282 prospect overall. It's never fun losing a recruit, but I'm not going to lose too much sleep over a low 4-star safety flipping. The Buckeyes are down to just 2 commitments in their 2015 class, but with Urban Meyer at the controls, I'm confident they will finish with another top 7 class before it's all said and done. Meyer took over at Ohio State on November 28, 2011, and still finished with an excellent 2012 recruiting class. If he can do that in a little over 2 months, I'm not going to worry too much when he still has over 9 months until signing day. Thank you for joining us today on the Morning Five. I hope everyone has a great day, and go Blue Jackets!